Hi guys, and welcome to the Daily Odyssey with me, your host, Simon from Odyssey. Received a lot of messages yesterday regarding the new JP Morgan stroke Visa partnership between Link and B2B Connect, which is Visa's version. So just going to go into it a little bit. So JP Morgan have a product called Link. So it used to be an interbank network software, and then 2017 they changed it. It's actually a program called Onyx. I don't know if any of you have heard about it, but Onyx, they were the Swift Hackathon winners last year in 2021, and it's all about sort of digitizing and making payments, but their real push and their real is metaverse, digital identity, and Web 3.0, and lots of other bits and pieces that JP Morgan are actually working on. Visa's B2B Connect is actually it's a network similar to the correspondent banks, but obviously it uses the Visa liquidity instead of the correspondent bank's liquidity. Visa are a massive player with like $6 or $7 trillion that they use tied up to fund payments, and they're a massive counterparty in the global payment system. And the thing that you need to remember with all of these things is that word there, they're a counterparty. All of these tools still involve KYC and pre-funding and liquidity. Yes, they're more efficient and you need less pre-funding, but you still have to have a Nostro-Vostro relationship somewhere. It will be with actually Visa in this case, so banks will just hold funds with Visa and Visa will then transfer to wherever they need to be. And it's the same with Link with JP Morgan. You'll hold funds with JP Morgan and they'll make payments for you, but you still need a counterparty. You still need some sort of Nostro-Vostro relationship, so you still need some sort of compliance involved there. The big thing, the difference between obviously the on-demand liquidity scheme is the on-demand liquidity scheme allows anybody within that network to transact automatically using on-demand liquidity without any need for pre-funding and any need for Nostro-Vostros. It's a different business model. Yes, Onyx or Link and B2B Connect, they offer faster, more streamlined payments, but they don't take away that need for pre-funding and they don't take away that permissionless liquidity that XRP does offer in the space. The one thing that it does highlight, though, is it highlights that the big banks are shifting towards, okay, we've obviously got a real threat here between innovators and new software coming and us losing our position in the market. Now, this is an obvious response. Banks like Credit Suisse, banks like JP Morgan, banks like Chase, JP Morgan is Chase now, banks like Citi, these are all massive payment providers in the world of cross-border payments. They fund an awful lot of Nostro-Vostros and they manage an awful lot of the payments that go through our system. These are the actual problems, full stop, because these obviously need to make money. And people and small banks and credit unions still have that issue where they can't actually afford the compliance costs around pre-funding and Nostros and predetermining liquidity. That's a real big challenge at the moment as well. How much liquidity do you want to be exposed to in markets that are fluctuating so greatly? And we've seen an awful lot of pullback in liquidity. JP Morgan sat on like 1.2 trillion in cash. And that's purely because they're not engaging in an awful lot of their normal day-to-day operations. We don't quite know where we stand with everything at the moment, and nobody's really engaging in markets. Nostro-Vostros are reducing, and the movement of money is becoming harder and harder to source. Also, the sourcing of liquidity is becoming very, very difficult as well because of interest rates and how much is being charged, and all of that stuff that happened very readily in free markets and free liquidity is not necessarily happening at the moment. It's a very interesting development for me with the whole Swift and the whole B2B Connect and the whole JP Morgan, and it's expected for me. It's expected for them to make payments easier, but I actually think it's just part of their evolution, not necessarily because of blockchain, but also because blockchain allows them to do different things that they didn't have the technology to do before. So to me, this is the big banks still evolving on their current model of how do we make pre-funding more efficient? How do we make payments more efficient? How do we sort of race to that, 1, 2, 3 basis points to actually fund a payment as opposed to what we're currently paying in different FX markets at the moment? And this all of this aids. The cheaper payments are for everybody, the better payments are for everybody. We're still missing key points in globalization. The movement of money freely is a missing point of decentralization, and it's a missing point of globalization. We've got shipping and we've got information, but we haven't got that movement of funds yet. I don't believe these products actually solve for that missing piece of globalization. They certainly make it easier and more efficient, but you still need to have some sort of maintenance, and you still need to have some sort of compliance, and you still need to have some sort of pre-funding somewhere. The big draw of on-demand liquidity for payment providers is a massive step forward, and it's something that only these banks can offer with their own stable coins if they offer them permissionless. And you can't do that because the very essence of a stable coin is that it is permissioned from the actual bank, which will have some sort of compliance. People will need to pass that compliance in order to use it. And they'll still need to hold some sort of fund somewhere, or a security or collateral or anything regardless of that. So I think it's a big, bold step forward. And it's really nice to see that they're offering more efficient payments, and they're starting to look at how we can reduce the cost of payments. But I don't think it's a particular threat to on-demand liquidity as a whole. Obviously, it's evolving and the stories are evolving, so I'll keep looking and I'll keep researching and I'll keep releasing these little notes on whether or not it's actually, could possibly be a threat for these things. But in the meantime, I just view it as great advancements in payments. And it's really nice to see that the big banks are actually starting to do it. On a conspiracy note, if we take all that aside, it's very interesting that just before all these announcements started to come, that all the big banks started to attack the public decentralized coins. Jamie Dimon coming out saying that Bitcoin's trash and it's an overpriced scam and it's an overpriced Ponzi and all the rest of it. I don't subject to the whole everything to conspiracy from the SEC in regards to the Ripple case and all the rest of it. I think there's some misgoings, and I think there was some backhanders in the ETH community earlier on that they might possibly not want to come to light, but I don't think it's necessarily a conspiracy against XRP. Obviously, that's just an opinion, and, the same as everything, there could be, there couldn't be, and with the amount of misinformation with the information, there's going to be arguments on both sides of the fence with everything. So I'll keep you all updated to what I see and what I read, and it's nice to be back, and I look forward to speaking to you soon. Take care. Bye.